What's up, kitchen table wizards? What's up, deck brewers from all over the world and also lovers of the tribal deck? Today we are in a forest, and that means we're going mono green. And if you can listen very well, you hear them. They're all over the place. We're gonna do an insect deck. Let's go.
So in insects there are a lot of different color combinations that we can do. And I was thinking maybe do black and green, but I want to play the big insects, so we go mono green. And if you also like some big insects in your deck, well, you can pick them up at Card Market. That's our partner, and they are always giving a €10 voucher away for free. The only thing you need to do is subscribe, leave a comment below and tell me which deck you want to see next time. Now let's head into the deck. But first, let's start with the flavor, the basic lands, the basic forests. I played 22 forests, and because we play insects, I decided to pick out some forests with some beehives. Now this great art is from Adam Paquette, and I think it really fits the theme of the deck. I also play a Castle Garen brick to help me play my big insects a bit earlier, and a Rogue's Passage to get those big insects through. Now to play those big insects we need a little bit of ramp to get them into play a bit faster. I play 2 Explore, 3 Nissa's Pilgrimage and 2 Migration Path. Now apparently there are a lot of insects here, so let's talk about some creatures. Scented Swarm maybe looks innocent, but it's really good against control decks. You just attack, and even if you don't do damage, you prevent those players from countering your big insects. Now if you play insects, you have to play the Scoot Mob. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or more lands, it gets 4+1/+1 counters on it, so it gets big really fast. Against artifacts and enchantments, Cossack Caterpillar is a really good include as well. Nessian Horn Beetle is a little 2-drop that likes friends with power 4 or greater. Then at the beginning of combat, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And the Skylasher is great against those pesky control decks. Phantom Nantuko is a mantis with trample that is pretty hard to kill, because if damage would be dealt to it, prevent that damage and remove a counter from it. And the Deadbridge Goliath is a 5/5 for only 4 mana. That's already great stats, but it also gets the Scavenge ability, which works great with the Nantuko. As sometimes you have too many lands in hand, and then the Nantuko Cultivator is a great card. It has you draw some extra cards for the lands. No insect deck is complete without the Ant Queen. This 5/5 for 5 mana has a solid body and will make a lot of small insect tokens. Now I told you we like big insects, and Crash of Rhino Beetles is the biggest of them all. Of course this is when you have 10 or more lands, because then it's a 15/15 with trample. And the Vorapede is also an aggressive insect that comes back. Now for 7 mana I present to you Giant Ediphage and the Moldgraf Monstrosity. The first one copies itself, and the second one gets some other insects back from your graveyard to the battlefield. Another insect all-star is the Hornet Queen, and I decided to play 2 copies of this deadly bee. This card is great in offense and defense. And the last insect I want to present to you is this Living Hive, a big 6/6 trampler that creates more insects when it deals damage to a player. Now we do play a lot of insects, but we also play the goddess of the forest. There she is, Nylea. Nylea is maybe not an insect, but it's a great card if you play big green creature decks. It makes creatures cheaper, and it can even act as a card draw engine.
So we already talked about lands, creatures and ramp. Now let's talk about some support for those insects.
This deck can go tall with big insects or wide with a lot of insect tokens. And for the latter, Beacon of Creation is a great card. Now if you get too many tokens, you can always sacrifice them in the Evolutionary Leap. Or you can draw a lot of cards with the Shamanic Revelation, or search for your favorite insect with a card of Calling.
Yes.
Remember, we play a lot of forests, while Blanchwood armor likes this as well. Be sure to stick this on a big trampling insect and you'll have a lot of fun. The only artifact I play is a Life Crafter's Bestiary. This helps you set up some draws and draws you some extra cards.
Now let's talk about some power rankings and metagame review.
This deck plays a lot of big insects and can also go wide with a lot of tokens. So offense and defense are quite the same. I think it's a fun deck to play and it's not expensive to buy. The deck will do well against other creature decks and maybe a little bit better against the mid-range than the aggressive matchup, because it can go tall and wide. Now against control, of course, it will be a bit more difficult because they will have answers for your insects.
Now announcing this week's card market voucher winner!
Congratulations, Yotja Prime. Check out the descriptions below how to collect your prize. So this was the insect deck, really fun deck to play. Do try it out, and it's also in our matches, so do check out our matches as well. And don't forget, as always, keep it casual.